Welcome everyone. Today, I'm honored to have with us the chief of the Timpanogos Nation, Mary Murdock Meyer. In her role with the Timpanogos Nation, she serves as a voice of her people, advocating for the rights and recognition. She conducts extensive research into the history of Timpanogos people, documenting the injustices they've faced and ongoing struggles that they endure. This involves delving into archival records, conducting interviews with elders, and preserving cultural heritage, along with the efforts to address the challenges stemming from historical trauma and systemic discrimination. She collaborates with community members, government agencies, and advocacy groups to right injustices and engage in legal battles to secure land rights, protect sacred sites, and promote cultural preservation. Through initiatives such as the Timpanogos Project and various outreach programs, she strives to build bridges of understanding and reconciliation with surrounding communities. Does that seem like a good intro?
That works.
What is the territory, historical and presence of the Timpanogos Nation?
According to the treaty, our territory stretches clear across the state of Utah. Um, with the treaty wasn't ratified because at the time, Washington was very upset with Mormon pioneers, and in reports on the congressional hearings, it states that they would rather the Indians. I believe it says filthy savages, but they would rather us than the Mormons have the land. So they didn't ratify the treaty. But Congress had put out a congressional act to back up Abraham Lincoln's executive order. His executive order laid out the Uinta Valley Reservation from contiguous mountain to contiguous mountain. And it, if you look at a topo map, you can see the bowl and the mountains that are laid out there. When Congress stepped in 1864, they cut it off at the Colorado border because Colorado had been formed at this time, the territory of Colorado. So it goes basically from the Wasatch Mountains to the Colorado border. That is our land base. Um, we still have people on the Aboriginal territory, and we have people here. After the extermination order was put out in 1850 by Daniel Wells and Brigham Young, our population was diminished from 70,000 strong to when they put the Timpanogos on the reservation here, it was 500.
And that was through different, I mean, mainly just genocide, but battles and just individual killings.
Yeah, it started with Battle Creek and it went into the Fort Utah battle, which is every year. One of the gentlemen out on the Wasatch Front, he's not Timpanogos, but he felt very strongly there needed to be something reminding people of what happened, and he started the River Walk, which is the path from the Fort Utah battle up the canyon, where he was later beheaded and his wife jumped off the side of the mountain to avoid being captured.
Yeah, that joining that walk this last Saturday was it- I don't know. It felt really important. Personally as well. Just I mean. to a lot of people, I mean, I grew up in this area. I grew up in Park City, and I hadn't even known that there was a Timpanogos Nation until I was maybe 35, until just a few years ago. And this blew my mind that I grew up in this area and that there was nothing in my education about the peoples that were here before us, and even misinformation, like probably assumed that the Ute were indigenous to Utah, not Colorado. So it took a lot of digging to get into that. And yeah, one book too, the Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, was like, I kind of feel like that should be required reading in every high school. I understand you're trying to do some efforts and to get some education into the school system about Native American past.
Because of people learning that we still exist and that the Timpanogos were on the Wasatch Range, they have started educating themselves by researching and finding this stuff out. And recently, a school district out there has named their school district after us, the Timpanogos School District.
Where's that?
Um, from Linden, Vineyard, Orem, and it was Alpine, I understand.
Okay.
And they've asked for some education because they don't think it's right. So we have told them that we would help their school district in education if they, we're available to do what we can. And so we've attended just a few days ago um, their cultural day at the one of the elementaries out there. And so kind of give them just a little information that the mountain is named after us and that Great Salt Lake used to be Timpanogos Lake. That date, the name was taken off in 1848. And so just little things like that, we don't want to traumatize elementary students, just give them a little
Yeah.
basic history.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were received very well and we're anxious to help in any way we can with education there. The students are just priceless. And the staff was really wonderful with us. So they had a program. They were celebrating all nine cultures that are in the school. So
Oh,
that
that's
was kind of
wonderful.
interesting and fun to be at.
Yeah, that's I really hope with this awakening of all this terrible information that's coming out these days that we start to right these wrongs, and most one of the
Yeah.
most important is with you guys. Um, you're still here and still suffering from a lot of systems that were put in place 150 years ago. And it just when I learned some of the states of the reservations in America, I kind of was just appalled that this is still happening in America. Like, such as the
Yeah.
fact that with the Pine Ridge Reservation and the Wind River Reservation have some of the lowest life expectancy rates in the Western Hemisphere, only behind Haiti. Unemployment rates 80 to 90%, high suicide rates. And are some of these existent on the Uinta reservation with you?
Um, Clarification there, it's the Uinta Valley Reservation.
Thank you.
There is that we have found no Ouray Reservation.
Okay. You went to a
That
valley
there were,
reservation.
when the youths were brought over, they were put under an ORA agency.
Okay.
So it's you win an ORA agency, but when they take anything to court, it's you win a valley reservation,
Okay.
which there's a difference there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's mislabeled many places then.
A
Yeah.
lot of things are. One thing I've learned while researching is it's important to look at the maps. And when you say you were on the Ashley River, say when Ashley was doing his stuff, which river was he on? Because the Provo River was the Timpanogos River, and then they changed it to the Ashley River, and then they changed it to the Provo River after 19 Provost. So, and then in close to the Colorado border, there's a river called the Ashley River. So people researching today and looking at the Ashley River, are they talking about the one in Vernal or the one that was in Provo? Or so when you're doing research, it's important to find the map of the times because otherwise, a lot of people don't know that there was no Wyoming back then. It was Nebraska. And there was no Idaho, it was Washington. But when you get the right maps, then you understand the history you're researching because you know where they were talking about.
Yeah. 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 Very important. And I gotta pardon my ignorance because a lot of us have zero education around this. It's all just washed under this propaganda that cowboys and Indians happened 150 years ago. That was in the past, and now is now, and I don't know. It's amazing how many people are still kind of in this mental block of even being able to correctly name things. Um,
It is, it's kind of sad. History is very important. If you don't know your history and who you are and where you come from, you don't understand yourself because you need your history. And to move forward into the present, if you forget everything about your past, then you're end up being a people with no culture.
yeah. Yeah, this is absolutely. I mean, it's America is a really interesting place of I mean, again, even my own heritage like French, Scottish, English, Welsh. I didn't know I had French in my heritage until I was like 25 as well. So I think part of our kind of relearning our roots is reconnecting with our, European culture, which I'm also doing in Germany right now. So do you, I mean, this is kind of a weird question, but there's a lot of people that I don't know, I've noticed in the spiritual community that kind of even try to attach themselves to in, indigenous culture in America. I don't know if they're called pretendians or where that goes from.
Mhm.
And they're very lost and they're searching for a culture to attach to. And do you see this with, I don't know, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, years ago, I was out cleaning house for this lady. She's quite wealthy, and she would stress really quickly. She had a teepee set up in her backyard. She's not native. She had a teepee set up in her backyard, and if she got stressed, she would run out the door, go back to the teepee, and she had what she called her tom tom, and she would just pound on that drum, and then she would come back in and say she felt so much better. And that's not what the drum was for, and that's not what the culture, any native culture I know is about. But people grasp certain things and then in their own mind decide how it works. It's like peace pipe, for example. That was smoked in when you had a visitor coming in. And the belief was that when you smoked that, what what you said at the meeting then would travel up in the smoke and go straight to God, the Creator. And it wasn't something done for fun. It was an attempt to bind the person coming into the truth. Because in the culture, once you did that, you couldn't lie. You had to tell the truth when asked something. And that has been taken to mean, oh, we smoked it so we would be at peace. No, they smoked that so the conversation would be honest. But the cultures coming in didn't grasp that and they didn't understand. That's where understanding other people's cultures is important because miscommunications happen when there's no understanding.
I'm trying to, I don't know, I guess one of the things I'm maybe trying to tie this to is empathy. And I don't know how to segue it perfectly, but I feel like that's what's really needed here for us to for us to move forward together. I feel like the world now needs the indigenous perspective more than ever. I feel like we've become so separate and so disconnected from our earth and each other. Um, Maybe that's just a comment.
Well, let me give you a little bit that might help there. I had a friend one time tell me, well, if we hadn't came here, your people you didn't have any culture, and we had to help you. And my response was, I don't know what you're talking about. We live totally biodegradable, totally. Clothes, housing, everything was biodegradable. It went back to the earth. There was no trash. Trash came with the colonizers. We didn't have that. When you went out and you got your food, you took your animal, you used every bit of it. You, it was all, and you prayed over it. We were a very prayerful people. You pray over your deer or your elk, whatever it is you've taken. And then the concept of the animal giving itself to you. If you do the hunt correctly, it'll come and stand there. It gives itself to you, which is part of the stories from way back. And you pray over it, you take it, you use it. There is no trash. There's no anything. And you have your food, your meat, and your hides to use for clothing and things like that. So to say we were uncivilized is a very, ignorant term, uneducated term. I don't,
Ironically,
because,
yes.
because the way we lived is what they call what now the green, going green. We
Yeah.
were already green before we were colonized. So now we're trying to get back to that. And it's sad that you destroy a culture before you even know it. And that's sad.
Yeah, it's tragic. I I have a little theory about I don't know us coming from the white people coming to North America and just that at one point we were indigenous to our own land and
Yes.
empires came through and rolled over our cultures and our ways of life and paganism was lost and our relationship to the land and so it felt like my theory is that like us coming over here and then just taking and doing the same thing is almost like wanting to bring everyone into our madness because we felt alone in it. uh, so I don't know, that's just one theory, but Um, yeah, I think it's so ironic that we that the armchair scientists back in the day that referred to Native Americans as savages and um, that they just that a whole intelligence of Mother Earth is just thrown out the window, and and hopefully we're coming back to that. I don't know what's in store. I'm sure I think it's coming back. I don't know if it's going to come back in a way that is without a lot of pain and destruction. But hopefully there's an easier transition. Um, what is life like on the reservation today?
Uh, it's our reservation isn't what it should be. In 1865, there was an order put out for all non-Indians to leave the reservation, which they didn't. And the the government never forced them to. They let them stay here. Um, and then in the 1880s, they brought the Utes over and put them here and kind of put them in charge. And so things aren't like they should be. There's a very, very strong Mormon influence in the workforce and workplaces. That makes a difference if you get a job or you don't, which isn't right. I always like the concept of blind interviews where you don't get to see the person that is applying. You only get to hear about their education and who they are and what they believe, kind of thing, more than looking at them in the face because prejudgments happen a lot,
Yeah.
and that's not a good thing. Growing up in school was difficult because, well, Native kids are just not treated the same. There's a
Sorry,
school that
so
I
so
grew up
there's
in.
there's people so there's non-tribal members living on reservation land. Is it
Yes.
is it is it a patchwork of fee patent land or is it actually reservation that they're
Well,
living
they
on?
were living here way before any of that. They just decided and came here. Actually, Brigham Young sent them here.
Is this part of the
Part of
extermination?
they were going to exterminate us, so you go colonize that area, kind of thing. And the exact year that the Utes got their order to be removed from Colorado, um, five men got together. They weren't important men, just five men got together and declared a whole county. And there was no state at that time because Utah didn't get its statehood till in the 1890s. And because they had to work through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which the United States government gave their promise that they would not cause the native inhabitants to find the necessity of seeking a new home. That happened in 1848. Then you have, moving forward, you have the reservation set up. And so we're established on the reservation way before these people declared their counties, way before the state. Now, the state had to go through their Organic Act and Enabling Act and all this, which had that same clause in it. And Utah's Constitution has that clause that they are not supposed to, they forever disclaim any right or title to any lands owned or held by any Indian or Indian tribe. Yet, to date, they have not upheld that. They're violating their own constitution.
So it's not even that there's land disputes on the boundaries of the reservation. It's that they just come and are they purchasing land or they just took it and then now
Well,
it's
somebody's purchasing land. I don't know where the money is going, if it's the state selling it or just apparently you can just be a person and say, hey, I'm going to sell this piece of land, whether you own it or not, and sell it. There are companies selling land to people. I had a friend of mine wanted to buy a piece of property on it's on the reservation. And he came to me and he said, okay, I want to buy this property. Will it be mine? And he said, well, call the people back selling it and ask them if they've gotten a release from the United States government because it's a protected reservation. And when he did that, they didn't want to talk to him anymore. So there's lands being sold illegally all over out here. And the lack of federal recognition tends to make people don't understand that in federal law, tribes can be tribes without federal recognition if they have congressional acts or treaties or these types of things. The United States government doesn't make you a tribe. They do recognize federal recognition. What it does is gives you a government to government relationship where they have to comply with certain things. And that's where you get Indian clinics and government grants and things like that from. But the lack of it doesn't change the fact that Congress still set this land aside, gave us recognized Indian title, is what the courts have called it, to this land. And people are just encroaching left and right. But because we don't have the government to government federal recognition, our tribe is consistently having to go to court and deal with different issues and basically left powerless, like the with the babies I was talking about at the walk and the people in court right now and these types of things. We're left powerless.
so
So that,
every court decision is based on this I don't based on the judge or every individual
yeah,
case and their interpretation
yes.
of your nationhood. And I think I'm not sure people know, but the Timpanogos are a not a federally recognized nation, which you've tried to change, but find
Well,
significant.
according to the 10th Circuit, that congressional act is solid and we do not need federal recognition to protect our treaty rights.
Right. it just seems so intentionally complicated. Like everything that's going on. It's
Yeah. In my mind, it should be simple. Um,
absolutely.
who was here when?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Uh-huh.
If you follow when the reservation was set up, who was where? When Congress set up the Congressional Act, who lived where?
Yeah.
When the United States government said everybody not native needs to leave, who listened?
Ugh.
And then when the Utes came, is it did not it what defies physics for them to have had the reservation set aside for them when they weren't here when it happened.
Where would that leave them if
They're
i-
still a tribe. They're going to be a tribe.
but that
That's not
would
going to change. And they were put here by Congress.
yeah.
So that's something we,
And there's a lot of Ojibwe, they're like um indigenous to Minnesota that are in Oklahoma, right? They were transferred. So I mean, yeah, who was where, but like I don't know. It kind of leaves us like where would they go if that was the way that
they're
we
not going anywhere. They're
yeah.
going to be here.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not going to, unless they chose to fight to go back to Colorado. Now that's an option, but that's their choice, not mine.
Yeah.
And that what happens with them is up to the United States government ultimately. But they they're Indian people. They're a tribe, regardless of what other people want to say or do, and it's not our intent to damage that. What we're trying to do is establish our own rights based on what happened to us.
Yeah.
And because technically, right now, there's two tribes on this reservation, the ones that was established for and the ones that were brought here. We both have congressional acts, we both have treaty negotiations, and we both have things, and they need to be followed.
And you said that part of what you think the lack of federal recognition came from was the troubles with the early Mormons. And you feel and that is like still continuing today, this intention towards your people.
Well, that extermination order was put out, and our people, we didn't know about that. We just knew we were getting killed off, you know, and they scattered. And the survivors that were well enough to travel came here or stayed in other pockets. And we're just simply asking that the administrative error that took place with the agent was at the Battle of Fort Utah. He was part of the extermination of us. And then he's made our Indian agent. And he's technically the one that started the whole trauma here because we would have been recognized had he done things the way he was supposed to. What he did was follow the extermination order, though, and as soon as the Utes got here, he didn't count our people anymore. And if when you look at the land and how it was laid out and who was where at that time, you can see why it is. Some of the agent reports say he was afraid for his life because the Utes had killed their agent, and some of them just say they're here and they own everything now, which goes against federal law. It takes congressional for two tribes to merge. Say you're a tribe and I'm a tribe. and we want to share everything. We can't, not without Congress. That's the way the laws are written.
Right.
So
So
we
this
can decide that, but Congress needs your consent, my consent, and then they have to consent.
yeah.
And that's never happened.
And when you tried to go for federal recognition, what is it, a couple years ago? It was blocked
Oh
by
no,
the
back in the
Utes
90s.
in the 90s. And that was blocked by the Utes.
We first sent them a letter explaining the administrative error, and then they sent us back the stuff saying we needed to apply, even though we have prior recognition. We don't consider it prior recognition, we consider it continued because we're still here. And but then, anyways, there's a whole series of things you have to accomplish to get recognition. It really isn't about whether you're Indian or whether you can prove your lineage or if you have all these acts showing that the land was set aside for you. They have all these other things like, well, this guy's got a post office box and this guy's got a physical address, so we can't accept your paperwork. They want physical addresses. And one thing that's kind of odd is where I live right now. For years, I've had the same physical address, but I guess the county has decided to change the addresses, and they have given me several different ones. So, what is my address? So I still go by the one I've had for years, but I had an account and it popped up and said, "Oh, your address has changed," and they have a different address on there for me. And so it's out in the cyber world, all these different addresses. So when we send our physical back to DC and they try and find us through that address, if it's wrong, we're not there. The Y1 address is an empty lot.
Uh, And I think this is what people don't really understand is that this is just like a continuation of was happening 100 years ago.
Yeah,
This is the same thing, and whether people are doing it consciously or not, it's happening. I mean,
yes.
and I just it's just astounding to me how people think that I don't know, they don't think, and that's the worst thing. I think that's the
Yeah.
worst thing about this.
Well, society is set up, the modern day world, where the working class people are so busy, some of them with two or three jobs, no time for sleep, no time to take care of their own children, having to pay every penny they make out either in a bill or a child care or something. They don't have time to think.
Yeah,
They're programmed in, it's almost a form of slavery where you're programmed into you do and do and do and do and then give to us because then they pay exuberant taxes. They can't function.
yeah,
I mean, my own daughter is going through that. She doesn't live here and
yeah,
she's working so much.
yeah,
And it affects the children, it affects everybody, and everybody gets trained into that same system.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
not
hard
good.
enough to do what you do already, but then to have to try to tackle these huge issues, when the government is not leading the way, forget about it. Huh. How do you deal with this personally? What keeps you going?
Well, every time I think I'm done, I just can't take it anymore. It's too much pressure. Somebody else can take the reins. I'm just tired. Um, I'll get a phone call every time. Um, Social services just took my child. What do I do? And they're generally crying. Or my child's been arrested and this is what happened. How can you help? And people call in with really sad trauma stories. And I just got to do what I can do to help because it always sucks me right back into fight mode, I guess. It's not really a fight. Well, I guess it kind of is. It's a paper fight, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fight to be recognized.
and it's you know what's crazy about Native Americans? Okay, do you have to prove blood quantum? Do you have to prove your lineage for as far back as you can go? Ours we took to the 1700s, but do you have to prove, document, and all of this to say I'm part French? No.
Not at all.
Indians, dogs, and horses all have to have a pedigree. And we're not still considered in the major elections. They have presidential elections. You go vote, you do your thing. And then when it comes up and they're showing the polls, this many white people voted this way, this many black people voted this way, the
Mexican
Spanish all
population.
voted this way,
Spanish.
and the Asians voted this way, and then the other voted like this. We're not even recognized there nationwide. There's no, and the Native American vote was this. No, they don't even include us as part of anything.
It's just ab
So
abominable.
this really isn't just my fight.
Yeah.
It's what every tribal leader is striving to correct, whether they're federally recognized or not.
Yeah.
Things don't change a whole lot. For us, it would just give us more strength in court,
Uh-huh.
more power there to be able to say who we are without being questioned and having to pull out our pedigree and pull out our lineage and all of that stuff every single time.
Yeah.
And you have to do this for every single member. You got one member with one document missing from their lineage from today to the 1700s, and you get your packet sent back saying, we need this corrected before we can even look at you.
It's insane. It's insanity. Have you heard of Masaru Emoto? Um, he
Who?
Masaru Emoto. He's he did an experiment with rice. You can do this in your own home. It's pretty fascinating. But you take 3 jars of rice and um, you fill them up with water. You've got the rice here, just covered in water, and you put it in your closet. And every day for a month, with 1 jar, you say, "I love you," and with 1 jar, you say, "I hate you," and with 1 jar, you just ignore. And after a month, you do this every day. We had our whole household do this, and after a month, the I love you was just like fermented, beautifully white, uh, like really nice color. The I hate you was black and and gross. And then the ignore was like gray and almost just lifeless, I guess, And I don't want to compare you to a jar of rice, but but just ignoring is terrible, you see the effects. I mean, I encourage everybody to do the experiment, but I don't know. You guys are brothers and sisters, and we're in this together, and I just don't see a path forward without us doing it together. So it just I don't know. This just kills me every time I hear about this and the di and I was talking to a friend earlier about this, and they were talking about guilt and shame, and
Mhm.
this is an interesting question for you because um he asked if I felt like I should feel guilt and shame about this, and and I responded yes, like I almost like feel like that's needed, or at least for us to confront this aspect of ourselves, this shame,
Mhm.
because I think people avoid it every day. So I wonder. I mean, I know it's not like a positive place to move forward from out of guilt and shame. You don't want people acting like that towards the situation. I think it might be a motivator to wake up to this, to do something about it. But I wonder what you think about this line of thought.
Well, one thing I say a lot when I'm speaking is you didn't do it. It wasn't you. Um, I have ancestors in my lineage. Uh, I don't know if that was mentioned out there, but one of my great grandmothers was taken from the Battle of Fort Utah and raised by a Scotsman. So I have Scottish blood also. And most of our people have pioneer blood because they took the children and then raised them up and married them. And so I went through that with my grandfather that did these things. He was part of the Mormon militia. He took my grandmother and he used her actually in the aspect of since she was the daughter of Chief Aeropine, she was very instrumental with him working with Chief Tabby because that was her uncle. So I had real conflicted feelings about Joseph Stacy because I know what he did. I have three separate affidavits and they're all completely different on how he got her. And he used them for different hearings or whatever at the time. But they're contradict each other. And it's like, what the heck? You can't legally, you shouldn't be able to do that. But so I went through these feelings and I was at a writer's retreat. Um, I've been working on my book. I was at this retreat and we had to share something that was bothering us, and that was what I brought up. And this little lady, she took me aside and said, "Honey, if we all go back in history, we're gonna find a bloodthirsty bastard somewhere who's committed all kinds of criminal activities. Doesn't matter who you are. You go back in your lineage far enough, you're going to find that. So it's okay to forgive your grandfather." And that really resonated with me. And I want the we have a lot of support on the Wasatch Front, a lot of people wanting to learn and know things. And I want them to have the peace of knowing we're not mad at you. We're upset about what happened and we just want it fixed. I have a really good friend, his name's Ben, and he works out there with Utah Lake and stuff and he told me, he said what happened was tragic, it was horrible. And he's staunch LDS, okay? He's right up in the church. And he said what happened happened and it was wrong, but it's our responsibility to fix it. And I really appreciated that because, it's not him. I'm friends with several people that descend from Brigham Young. Um, it wasn't them. They didn't do it, but they're working, trying to fix what happened.
Yeah.
And that's where the petitions come in. And there has to be a way for everybody to get along. It's like my friendship with Ken, he's the one I met him because I was speaking somewhere. He come up to me afterwards and said, I'm a descendant of Brigham Young, and when I first heard you speak, I went and found that order. And he said, you're correct, and I'm sorry. And then he releases doves. And so we've done that together a few times. And why can't we be friends? Why can't we all get along? Respect each other's boundaries and live the way God intended. He didn't intend for everybody to be down here killing each other or treating each other horribly. We're all human. And I think that's one thing people mistake when oh, that's an Indian person. They don't realize that we're the same as we have our differences, but bottom line is we're all humans, and in that aspect, we're all the same.
Yeah. Well,
So,
one gift that I've gotten from a lot of travel is all over the world, and is just realizing that wherever we go, the people are the same inherently. You have as
yeah,
many butt heads as you do great people, and every culture has all the mix of who you see in your everyday life. Um, yeah, I think maybe one of the I guess internal things that I did when I realized that this was like still happening, because that's a huge, I kind of see it as a block to accept what happened, and what is happening is that, oh, it wasn't me, this all happened to go. And when I realized that it was still happening, like not just past tense, I was like, I'm the perpetrator, and then I was like, I'm perpetrating this system that is continuing to do this, and continue, whether unconscious or not. And so I guess that one was like, oh my God, I can't be this. So I'm glad that you say that, and also I'm not trying to move forward in martyrdom at all, but like, I know I'm just like, what can I do? And the answer to that, for me was just continue doing what I love, and which is uh showing. I do some tours, so I love showing people the beautiful planet. So I would love to work with indigenous cultures in doing that. And if I can empower cultures to also do that, and preserve culture, and raise awareness, then that's great. And then I can move forward in alignment with what I love to do, and then just also work together. So, and not just operate out of guilt. So. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting knowing how other people feel. Um, I was at the Circleville site when they put the monument up. I went down there for that. And
This was a monument for
it was a
another.
massacre that
um,
took place there.
okay.
And it's a horrible, horrible massacre that happened there. And the guy that got up and gave the speech was the historian that worked with finding and putting everything together for the monument. And when he found out that they had locked these people in the barn and were pulling them out one by one, slitting their throats, he was just mortified. And he wanted to know who could be so heartless to do such a thing. And when he researched back, it was his grandfather. And it broke him. It literally broke him. He was weeping while he was trying to give his speech because it affected him that bad. One thing we would like to see is healing. Um, we'd like to be able to, there's certain places that need prayer, certain things that need to happen there. And that's something that we're looking to do in the future. We go out and pray over the waters and pray over different things. And it's like the Great Salt Lakes, they're having a lot of trauma with it right now. It's drying up. And I thought, well, this was just a thought. I don't, but you took our name off there, you got rid of that, and then you take your name. It's like tried to erase Timpanogos. Well, now the lake's drying up because it was Timpanogos Lake
Yeah.
for God and all the maps clear back to the 1500s. And the name was taken off in 1848 when they
Another
decided.
thing I didn't even know. I mean, the last 5 years, I've done tours out to Antelope Island in the Great Salt Lake, and this is a piece of information that I don't know. It's crazy.
It is when you go back through the old histories too. It's funny to see that who was controlling Antelope Island and who was controlling and doing these things. Who was the stewards over the land at the time? And it was the Timpanogos. And then Brigham Young, after the massacres and everybody scatters, then he names this little scattered bunch over here one tribe, and this little scattered bunch over here another tribe, and then he tells Washington, I am instrumental in pulling all of these warring tribes together. Well, they were one people to begin with, but with people not paying attention to history and history being erased, a lot of people don't know how that works.
Yeah, the putting real history into our history books is a great start. I think is instrumental. But yeah, I mean, I love that your idea of or your action of getting involved in a lot of these different areas and providing your prayer and again, I think this is another aspect that the modern day culture really needs needs from you is these lessons on how to reconnect with our planet and to take care of it. Um,
If we don't take care of the lands that we live on and don't care enough to worry about them, Mother Earth is not going to care and worry about us.
yeah,
Everything's always been provided, and we we never lacked. We always had food and shelter and things, there was always something provided from Mother Earth. And we don't do that anymore. We just rip and tear her apart and divert waters here and there and then say, how come there's no water? It's just crazy. I watch it. It makes me crazy watching it all because it's where are the animals going to live? We were approached a few years back over some water and they wanted to come and put this water shares into pipe. And I asked him, I said, and this goes from not paying attention to history. If you study old countries' histories, you find out it dries the areas up. But they wanted to put the water in pipe. And when I said, where will the animals get their water? And what about the trees? If the water's all in pipe, how are the trees going to drink and the animals going to drink? And the government man looked at me and said, we all have to make sacrifices, ma'am. Okay, when you put all the water in pipe, the animals have nothing to drink. They're going to come down and terrorize the people. Are you not, you know,
Yeah.
it's common sense. They need their water to survive. If you kill off all the animals, that's what's going to happen to the people.
Yeah. We are
It's,
animals too. We're gonna.
well, old people say what happens to the animals happens to you.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you don't take care of the animal life, they're not going to be friendly.
Yeah, this capitalism, this insatiable need for growth is in a in a finite system is going to end. Whether it's because we stop it or we just take every resource until it's gone. Uh, yeah, this is big, big, big issues.
Yeah, they're big issues, big enough that the Congress people we've dealt with back away from it. Oh, yes, we want to help you, and we're right here for you, and we're behind you 100%. And then it's, ooh, this is kind of a big issue. I don't think I want to tackle that.
Here we go again.
Yeah, and it's not that big of an issue. We're not asking to take over the world, for God's sakes. We want to be left alone. Let us live.
Yeah,
Let us be at peace. We're not asking much.
yeah,
Uh, It, no, it's too major.
yeah. I can't see them blocking off resources in order to let you live. Yeah. I mean, I that was another part of Wind River Reservation was here's the reservation. Oh, except for the reservoir that we need. That's not reservation. We need
Yeah.
water.
I have cousins on the
Yeah.
Wind River Reservation and I've been to Pine Ridge. Yeah. One thing about um those reservations though, especially the ones in South Dakota, they have their culture.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let go of it. And they have things that other tribes today don't. They don't have the money and they don't have other things, but the things they've kept are the important things, their prayers, their customs, the way things are. And so I view them differently than a lot of the people in the world do because I've been there and I've seen it. And Wind River has a similar struggle that we have because Washington dumped the Arapaho on them. And so they have the Shoshone and the Arapaho all vying for the same territory when treaty-wise it's belongs to the Shoshone.
I have
And
to think this is intentional to put
it
warring
is,
tribes onto the same reservation.
it
Yeah,
is.
a nation divided is a nation that can be controlled. Or yeah,
Yeah. It was all intentional.
yeah.
All of it has been. And it's really, disheartening. I was raised to look up to the flag and the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. And I look at things. My dad fought in Korea in the Korean conflict. They won't even call it a war, but it was. He fought there and he come back and he was, he tried and tried and tried to convince us that America was wonderful while we were, I mean, it's like a contradiction in your mind.
Yeah.
If this is land of the free and home of the brave, why am I being persecuted? I didn't do anything, you know? It just doesn't make sense. Why do my people have to suffer? When my dad fought over there, come back and got treated like crap. It just makes no sense.
Land of contradictions.
Yeah, quite a contradiction. And well, and now Trump says we're not even part of America anyway. So, or he's
Well,
trying to say that. The court keeps stopping him from doing certain things, but yeah, that's part of his birthright citizenship and
I
stuff.
can't
And
even I can't even begin to see where his logic is coming from on that. I wish I could see it. I don't know. Maybe
I
I
don't
don't.
know. I think personally, I don't think he pulls the strings, but it's everybody has their own opinion on things.
That's what I that's what I kind of lost faith in politics with Obama when he came into office and then under this flag of hope and then proceeded to bomb other countries more than any other president in the history before him. So I was just like, oh, I don't think the president actually does the decision making here.
Mm-mm. They're the
Yeah,
mouthpiece.
yeah, the puppet.
Did you ever watch The Matrix?
Oh yeah, great.
Um, where they take the red pill and the blue pill?
Yeah.
I always tease Phil about that because he didn't see what was going on until he had been here for a while. And I told him one time, I said, I'm sorry you took the wrong pill. You have to wake up to reality
Yeah,
that there's things that work behind the scenes that you don't see.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And politics is not a place where I really want to be, but it's kind of where I got stuck fighting. And hopefully one day, well, I'll live in peace.
Uh, hey, keep striving for that and have the biggest goal. And if you come up short on the biggest goal, it's better than having no goal at all. So, thank you
Dad
for
always said,
your work.
you reach here, because then if you end up here, you're okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
absolutely.
always, you know, he taught us to strive high.
Yeah.
And I have to be peaceful. I'm an ambassador for peace, world ambassador for peace. So
Keeps us in check.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have to look at those things and try and find the most peaceful avenue because even though what we're going through is traumatic, we're not a violent people. And we want to handle things through the law and how the laws are set up rather than violence. However, in every race, there are good and bad, and I've had to quell a few um, of our people that wanted to, okay, I'm tired of this. Let's just go do this and be violent. And it's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
And I've had to deal with that a few times because people are tired of being hurt.
yeah, yeah.
It's a hard thing. And
Yeah,
when you
hurt
keep
hurt
telling
people hurt people.
for when you tell people for 30 years it's going to get better and they're not seeing it, they get angry. And I have
Should
to
be.
deal with that a lot. And there are ways, right ways and wrong ways to do things, and we've always chosen the path through the courts or the interior the way it's supposed to be. But
One good thing about Saturday and seeing the people from the community, from the white community, come and join the walk and and choose to see reality
mhm.
was um was it was really good to see people caring uh so much about this and I think the more people wake up, the more advocates you'll have. So that felt like a positive takeaway.
I always see that as very positive because it's like that old, what was it? I think it was a telephone commercial, but you tell two people and they tell two people and then that's how it spreads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I think this is a good place to stop for today. Um, uh, we can hope for the future and feel for each other in the present and become knowledgeable about the past and maybe we'll all pull it together.
find ways to work together for the future. Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, and uh, hope to yeah, looking forward to some of the progress that happens to get get recognized and and to alleviate some of these ills. So, thank you so much.
You bet. It was
Okay,
good talking with you.
great. Same. All right. I hope you have a beautiful day.
You too.
Okay.